and inadequate evidence of offender change. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And you will go out, end of sentence, to 4 years of probation, 5 years on the deadly weapon offender registry, and we wish you much success, sir.
Thank you.
This concludes the hearing for Boise Vega 369H. Good luck to you, Mr. Vega.
All right, Watson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Watson. How are you?
All right, good afternoon.
We're about to begin, okay?
Yes.
If you have a statement that you've written out, please have it out and ready to go.
I don't have a statement.
And that's fine.
I just wanted to say a couple of things, but I could say it at the end if you don't mind.
We got to go through the process, and then you'll have an opportunity to address us. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Parole Officer Smelly. Today's January 17th, and this is the hearing of the Connecticut Boards of Pardons and Parole. The following board members are present this afternoon. If I state their names on the record, certify they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Nancy Turner, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Joy Chance.
And I'm Ellen Zappo-Sasso.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record, sir.
Dwayne Watson, inmate number 301-808.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Dwayne Watson's 301-808. He is serving a sentence of 10 years, execution suspended after 4 years and 9 months, with 5 years probation to follow, for 7 counts of violation of protective order, larceny second, and identity theft third. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of April 7th, 2025 at 50%. There is no victim input in this case. The offender has an offender accountability plan. A review of the plan shows he has completed domestic violence, embracing fatherhood, tier 2, anger management, and alternative to violence. He remains on the wait list for a job, education, and vocational referrals to date. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system scores, the offender overall score for recidivation falls within the high range. Mr. Watson, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I think I wanted to say just being where I think I should be. Sorry about that. I'm a little nervous. But I should be granted for parole. Number one, I will not break the law again. Number two, I just want to be in the community, helping my kids, going back, doing what I was doing. I was doing, helping feed the homeless, and I was doing some good things, but I made some bad decisions out there. And I just want the chance to get back to the community and get my life back together. And
so, Mr. Watson, can I ask you to focus on why you believe you deserve parole? Because what we're hearing from you is why you want to be granted parole, and that's great. But why do you think you're appropriate and you deserve it?
I have changed. I learned from these programs that I have done. And basically I won't offend no more. That's how I feel.
Okay. Well, we've read the documents available to us and prepared questions to ask you. So we'll each take turns doing that, and then we will discuss your case and make our decision this afternoon. Any questions?
No questions at all.
All right, so we'll begin questions with my colleague, Ms. Zappo-Sasu.
Good afternoon, Mr. Watson.
Good afternoon.
So I just have to ask, looking at your violations of protective order that started in January of 22, continue on for literally the entire year, May, July, August, December, and then back to January, 2 counts there. So a full year of activity. And then finally, you and the person involved in this protective order finally terminated the protective order in August of 23, several months later. You've had this full circle of adding to your criminal history with this relationship. Why didn't you just go back and go to court right on in the beginning? I mean, talk to me about the dynamic here, because I have a full sheet of notes about these 7 protective orders, and there's intoxication, which we're going to talk about. At one point, DCF is involved. There's all kinds of issues here. So can you just talk to me a little bit about what was going on at this point that brought us to this situation, so that we can understand what was happening in your life during this time period?
Yes. So I kept violating protective order. I was the only one working in the household. I felt like, even though it was wrong, me disobeying the court's order, I felt that I was doing something right by, going back to the home. And I was the only one on the lease, but I was going back to the home. And things wasn't working out right with me and her. She had a nasty drug habit that wasn't being addressed. She kept getting fired from jobs. I was providing her things instead of just moving on with my life and going to the courts and getting custody of my son. I just folded, and made poor decisions, and here I am now. And it kept going over and over and over and over again. One of the time, probably two of the times, I used alcohol. Came in the house, my son wasn't being properly taken care of. I reacted in a negative way, and violated protective order as well. I assaulted her. I just made poor choices, and I had the resources to do the right thing, and I just did the wrong thing, and here I am. And
well, thank you for sharing that with us, because I think it helps us understand a little bit about what was happening during this tumultuous period of your life. And I can understand the pressures of that. We've noted in one of the reports that you were paying the rent, trying to keep them housed. You referenced that you were concerned about the care that your son was receiving. But at this point, this relationship has endured. You're still with this woman.
am I still with her?
Yeah.
Am I still with her?
Yes.
No, my son is with my son. My son is with my sister as we speak now, until I'm out of incarceration, and I can get back on my feet and get him. It was told, I went to DCF court, juvenile matters, and I gave temporary custody to my sister, until I get out. The mother abandoned my son, so she never came to court. She never had no visitation since the whole time I've been incarcerated. So they terminated her rights, and I haven't talked to her ever since, in no relationship at all. I try to reach out when DCF asked me to reach out to her to see if she's gonna come to court and basically acknowledge what's going on and how does she feels, because they couldn't get in contact with her. I came up empty, so I haven't talked to her since I've been in jail, to be honest with you. So, and my son's right now, he's with my sister until I get back on my feet and get an apartment and stuff like that. My sister get guardianship back to me and stuff like that.
Well, thank you for the clarification, because when it showed that the no contact order was lifted, I assumed it was because there was some type of reconciliation. So she has not addressed her issues as they relate to her suitability as a parent, and that's the DCF piece at this point.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So, but back to one of my original statements, that's a lot to go through to get to that endpoint. And, you know, this history of family violence and non-compliance with the laws, even though I understand why you felt the need to do some of the violations after hearing the story, you know, the pattern is a problem. The non-compliance is a problem. So maybe we should shift to some of the programs that you've taken, Mr. Watson, and you can talk to me about how some of this, now that you've been going through them, how that's affected your thinking. You can pick. Do you want to talk about domestic violence or the fatherhood program, the anger management, violence? What really spoke to you while you were doing these programs?
Well, really all of them did. Domestic violence, how domestic violence, how it works, and how, how domestic violence could be, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be hands-on, how to make good choices. Anger management. Anger management taught me a little bit too, how to meditate, how to stay, you know, walk away from certain situations. Being locked up in this facility right here taught me a lot as well too. I haven't caught any DR tickets because, you know, just walk away, go sit in my cell, meditate, and the programs helped me. You know, tier 2. Even though I don't think I had off two hands, I had probably been drunk probably like 9 or 8 times in my life, to be honest with you. But tier 2 taught me a lot about addiction, about how that works and stuff like that. I wanted to be a mentor as well too, because I was learning a lot and going to AA and NA. That's about it. It just, you know, like I opened up a little bit and shared some of my stories with them too. Other than that, the fatherhood program as well too. Me doing that in front of my kid, it's terrible. Him hearing me argue with the mother is terrible, you know, and I regret that, and that'll never happen again. You know, the kids are affected by it, you know, and him taking him out the house, putting in DCF care, you know, really hurting me, you know, and that's about it.
So how are you dealing with your relationship with your 5-year-old while incarcerated?
Pretty good. When DCF was involved, they just stopped being involved probably like 2.5 months ago. They would bring them up here once a month, and do video visits once a month as well. My sister has them, so she's coming up, you know, she's coming up to visit me, on the 1st with him and stuff like that to keep him, to keep everything together. It's been pretty good. He has autism as well too. He doesn't speak that much, He's an autistic child. He doesn't speak that much, but it's pretty good. He misses me and stuff like that, and I just feel terrible because what he had went through when he was in foster care. He didn't want to eat, and all because of my actions. I could have did things way different, but that's where we are now.
All right. And who is Vernon Austin?
Vernon Austin is a friend of mine. He owns a construction business. I used to work for him for like 8 years. Really good friend of mine. And I put him down as a what do you call that? Sponsor. But I really want to go to a halfway house first and get my stuff together with there. Get the resources I need and parole officer or whatever the case may be, and then get back into the community, get my own place and stuff like that. I want to start like that.
You have a good history of holding down a job, Mr. Watson, between your time at Bizzuto's and then you were also at New Opportunities for about a 4-year run when you were younger. So do you foresee any problems trying to get a job when you're back in the community?
Nah, I'm going to get a job. I'm going to work, stay out of trouble, take care of my kids, be successful in society. I don't think there's no problem with me getting a job at all. That's something I need to do.
Do you have any idea in terms of the anger management piece, where that started with you? Can you pinpoint maybe something in your past where the anger kind of became an issue? And now that you've realized it through programming, can you talk to me about, again, a little bit more specifically about what skills you're going to use in the community to avoid that?
Well, the anger problem I endured. I was adopted. I have been abused as a child. I had some anger issues growing up as a juvenile. I had a lot of juvenile issues. If you guys don't know about it, well, you guys do know about it. Because I had a little record. I learned from that, but I still have that anger in me. And what just walking away and me just walking away and taking a deep breath and know if I take that route, what can happen, it'll leave me back in jail. A lot of situations I could have just walked away from and I just didn't, That's about it. I don't know what else to say. I won't do this. I won't do it again. I tell you that. It's not hard to just walk away. And that's about it. That's about it.
So I'm glad to hear you say that. And I think a halfway house is a very good option for you. But a release plan is more than just where you're going to go once you leave the facility. There's other components and pieces of it that are important. So you told me that you want to go to a halfway house so that you could get yourself together. You know the role of a parole officer because you've had one before, and you understand that they're there to help you. But yes. I want to just make sure that you know that. What other programs in the community do you think, as you transition out, when that happens, that you think you're going to need in order to be successful for you and your son? Are there any other programs?
Any other programs? I don't know at this point. I just want them. I just want you guys to help. Well, my parole officer will just to help me. Just to just to maintain. Just to be out there. I don't know at this point. I don't know. I don't have the answer for that one right there. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. There's no right or wrong answers here. We just want to make sure that as we evaluate your suitability, that you have the tools in place and understand the resources available to you to be successful.
I know you guys, sorry. I know you guys are here to help. I don't want to re-offend. And I'm going to use the resources that I can to do so.
So I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues, Mr. Watson, but I will just say to you that I think some of the other questions that you're going to continue to hear is what those high-risk situations are, and the fact that you've said in your interview that you don't think you need to do any programs in the community. We also know, because we have your medical records, and we don't really talk about that on the record because this is a live meeting, but we have them. And I would just end my comments with saying that there's also medication management tools that I think you should take advantage of as well. And that you need to think about your release plan in terms of a toolbox and all the tools that are available to you. Some days you might need some tools other than others, depending on what you're working on or what you're building, but you always have this toolbox. And I think that I need you to keep talking to us about how you envision this release so that we understand that you know how to use those tools. So okay. I'll turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you. Ms. Chance.
So that's kind of where I was going, in terms of not having a concrete release plan and seeing that would be a helpful tool for Mr. Watson. You indicated you don't have any problems with drugs and alcohol, but it's obvious that you were using marijuana right up to the day of your incarceration. And so it's important for you to understand the problems that you have and how you're going to address them when you go back in the community. You have, breach of peace, disorderly conduct, assault charges, unlawful restraint, illegal operating of a motor vehicle under suspension. Do you have a driver's license?
It's actually suspended at this point.
Right. So there are a lot of pieces that you need to put together in order to know how you're going to live a crime-free lifestyle. And as you said, this has been going on for quite some time. Okay. You're 38 now, but it's been going on for half of your life or more than half of your life. So I would like to see you do a really good relapse prevention plan and release plan. And I like the idea that you mentioned going to a halfway house. Is it because you think it would provide a little bit more structure for you?
It'll provide a little bit more structure, and I can get the programs and the help that I need to be successful. That's why I chose the halfway house.
Okay. So, do you think that you need to continue participating in programs when you go in the community?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And so it would be substance abuse and, whatever mental health you deem is appropriate for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so is the only support you have this person who you had given as a sponsor? Is that the only support you have?
I have my sister, I have my uncles, I have a big family. I have my uncle that lives in Waterbury. He's an alderman. I have a big family, so I have a lot of support. To be honest with you, a lot of support.
How many children do you have?
I have 3 altogether. I have a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 5-year-old.
Are they all with the same mother?
No, they're not.
How do you get along with the mothers?
One of the mothers I don't really talk to. The other one I have a restraining order out. It's a criminal standing restraining order. So
Protective.
we don't protective order. So we really don't talk like that.
Do you talk with the mother of the 5-year-old?
I haven't.
He
No,
explained
I
that
haven't.
she's abandoned the situation.
Okay, she's the one. Okay.
Yeah. So
So you don't have any relationship with any of these mothers?
no, ma'am.
And that's okay with you?
I do want to talk, but I especially with the
Your
5-year-old.
older children, do you communicate with them?
Yes, I call them. Yes, they text me and stuff like that. I talk to them. I talk to them probably every other day or every day sometime.
Okay, well, thank you. I don't have any further questions for that.
So, Mr. Watson, we have records that indicate that back in 2012, you started receiving SSDI. Were you still receiving that before you came into the facility?
No,
Okay. When did that stop?
that stopped in 2000 and I want to say 17 or something like that.
Okay.
And they told me basically get a job, and they just cut me off of benefits and told me to get a job, and so that's why I was working part-time when I had that as well too, but they cut me off. So
Okay. Do you intend to reapply?
no, I intend to work.
If you were to be granted today, we would want you to have a mental health evaluation and engage in treatment as they recommend. Are you open to that?
Yes, and that's what I was going to say next. Do a evaluation. I want to do an evaluation on the outside, and
Okay. Great. All right, because you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else.
absolutely.
And you've got addiction issues, you've got mental health issues, you've got criminal justice system issues. So I appreciate your saying, and I know that you're trying to be sincere about the fact that you're not going to break the law again, as you said in your opening statement. But you've struggled quite a bit since 2004. That was your first domestic violence related conviction, a criminal trespass. And the document that we have, the pre-sentence investigation, I've never seen anything like it. It details 17 different arrests that were for family violence. So, one of the things that concerns me is in 2011, you completed the Evolve program.
Yes.
That's stage 2. initially people take the Explore program. And when the problems persist with intimate partner violence, then you get put in the Evolve program, which is twice as long and meets twice as frequently. So you completed that in 2011, and I can't even begin to count the number subsequent to that of your arrests that were family violence. So it concerns me that you took the Premier program, the deepest dive into looking at why you would make choices to be abusive and violent towards your partner, and you persisted with that behavior. You know, you got to be careful when you punch somebody in the face, you know, especially depending on the size and the health of that person. You could kill them. And you're obviously a very strong and healthy man. So your punch probably carries a lot of impact. You have been afforded 13 opportunities at supervision in the community, and you've only been successful one time. And these are all things that we look at in terms of, you know, making our decision today, because the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior.
Yes.
And you have one hell of a record. It's concerning. And I want to say, this is not, you know, you have more than one victim in your history. Hence the protective order through the year 2099 with one of your sons' mothers. So we haven't even touched on the larceny too and the identity theft. There were 15 counts of you falsely using the victim's credit card. You know, you were, I assume, a trusted employee of this siding company?
Yes.
Pardon?
Yes.
And you violated the sanctity of these people's homes by going in. I mean, a siding job is exterior, so you didn't even have any business being in their house.
We were actually doing their bathroom, and when I violated them, and I do apologize to them.
I'm glad that we're getting to an apology, because there hasn't been one up to this point. Yeah, I mean, you got caught because you pawned it and it was all on camera. So, you know, really concerning choices that you were making out in the community. And that was the year that you say you stopped receiving SSDI. You know, people lose things that are irreplaceable when you make the choice. You know, I'm surprised you didn't get burglary for that. So you apologize. Is there something that you might want to say to the victims in that case, and even the mother of your youngest child?
I just apologize to the people that I took their credit cards from. I actually said it in court as well too. And to the mother of my child, you know, I really do. I'm sorry for the actions I have done. And I'm just the choices that I made was just ridiculous. It was ridiculous. You're absolutely right. There was no call for any of this. And that's all I got to say.
So, Mr. Watson, you know, we're talking about it because accountability as a measure of change is important, because when you feel remorse and you regret choices that you made to violate the law, to violate the sanctity of people's homes, to abuse your child's mother in front of your child, you know, when you really regret these things, then hopefully it informs choices that you make after this. Because, you know, that it should weigh on you. This is a very significant criminal history, and a lot of harm has been done.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I think that concludes the questions that we have for you.
I have one follow-up.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Watson, I have a follow-up question, just for my clarity. Have you ever been released to a halfway house before?
No.
Okay. Can you maybe tell me just a little bit about your thought process and why you think that that's going to work for you this time? In a little bit more detail than you did before.
Well, I have been to AIC. I don't know if that's like a halfway house. They just get you prepared for, you know, being on your own, like getting a job, getting the resources that you need for yourself and to be good in society. I feel like it helps you. It just, you know, it helps you, like you have a counselor or whatnot. There's rules, obviously there's rules. And that's why I picked that, so I can get the help that I need, you know, but.
Okay, so I just want to be clear that you're picking this knowing that you will be going into a halfway house, if you're granted that, with a set of halfway house rules and people overseeing those rules. And on top of that, you're going to have a parole officer who's going to be looking at you for all kinds of, you know, things in addition to the halfway house rules. And you are going to embrace that. That's what you're looking for as appropriate resources to get you on the right path.
Yes.
Okay. And the previous time that you were successful in the community, what did that look like? Was that with AIC?
Yes, it was with AIC. Yes, absolutely.
Sure. All right, so we're going to discuss. Please give us just a few minutes and don't interrupt. Okay.
Great.
All right, so we'll begin with you, Ms. Zappa-Sasso.
Okay, thank you. So Mr. Watson presented today. He's 38 years old. He is serving 10 years executed, suspended after 4 years and 9 months for the violations of a protective order and then the larceny and the identity theft. He does score as a high risk to recidivate, and he has not been successful on the majority of his previous periods of community supervision. This was an interesting file to read as well. There is a lot of moving pieces here, and I think that I found that Mr. Watson was reflective and talked about the relevant programs that he was able to take, and frankly, a pretty short period of time because his sentence started on August 8th. He has done domestic violence. He's taken the fatherhood program, tier 2, anger, alternatives to violence. He is, you know, when pressed for additional details, he has told us that he does have community support in terms of a very big family. His sister has stepped up and taken on the role of raising his child, his son who has some significant needs himself. For someone who has had anger markedly through his criminal history in his life, he has shown some great responsibility during this period of incarceration, and he has not incurred any disciplinary reports. He has defined a halfway house as the preferred structure that he would need to be successful if released in order to plan for a successful reintegration and to get the programs that he needs. Today, I think that with 18 months left approximately through his end of sentence from his time of eligibility, plus the 5 years of probation that is also going to be there, in addition to the years that he has hanging over his head with the sentence. I think I've gotten to a point that I may be comfortable with granting him with several conditions to see if he could, in fact, be successful in the community.
Thank you. That was quite detailed. I just want to say that the records that I'm looking at have his end of sentence is May of 2027.
Right.
So that we're looking at more than 2 years, like 27 months of supervision.
Okay.
I come at this from the perspective of supporting Mr. Watson in turning things around. And now that he has some tools, as were described, and some insight to work with, I think the higher level of parole supervision as he transitions is his best bet at success, as long as he embraces the supervision as in his best interests and another person on his team supporting him being successful. It'll be worth it. I think what we have is concerning, especially given some of the programming in the past. But we'll keep future focused and try to help Mr. Watson the best way possible with a approximately 2-year period of discretionary parole. Ms. Chance?
I agree with what both of you said. There's nothing more that I add.
Okay, well, you could help us with the conditions. So I have halfway house, mental health evaluation and treatment, no alcohol, domestic violence, no contact with victim, initials CJ, and that was it.
I checked off no driving without parole permission because I think he referenced a license issue.
Yes.
Yes, no driving without you.
Because that's not part of the instant offenses, and he does have the condition that he obey all laws.
Okay.
I'd prefer to leave that one off for now. Okay, so Mr. Watson, here we go. In the matter of Dwayne Watson, inmate number 301808, there is a motion to grant parole on or after your earliest eligibility date of April 7th, 2025, with the following conditions for your supervision. You are not to consume any alcohol. You're to be placed in a halfway house. You're to have a mental health evaluation and engage in treatment as deemed necessary. You're to take behavior management for domestic violence, and you're not to have any contact with the victim, initials CJ. Do I have a second?
Second.
All
Yes.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well, I'm glad you voted too. You don't get a vote, sir.
Sorry about that.
Well, we wish you much success, Mr. Watson. Keep your notes down and do the hard work. Work with your parole officer. They're there to help you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Ah,
Can I ask you what the halfway houses,
One second, let the parole officer wrap up the hearing.
This concludes the hearing for Dwayne Watson 301-808 and concludes the hearing for today at 1:10 p.m. Go ahead with your
What's your
question.
question?
I wanted to know if the 2 halfway houses I picked for when I interviewed with Miss Smiley, I wanted to know if y'all can just I don't want to be placed in my town, Waterbury. I picked New Haven first as a halfway house. If that's okay, if you guys could just put New Haven and that's it, so I can go to somewhere other than Waterbury, my halfway house.
Yeah, New Haven was his first choice.
So, no,
Yes.
whatever. Well, Mr. Watson, you proposed a sponsor and I spoke to that individual this morning. So you're saying now you don't want to sponsor to that individual, you want residential now?
Yeah, halfway house. Yes.
Just clear for the record.
The Parole and Community Services will be meeting with you, and you can share that information with them, and they'll look to identify a bed for you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Good luck to you. You'll receive this in writing.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
Okay.
All right. Hello. How's everybody doing today? My apologies for